Good morning. I'm Reverend Israel Bufardi. You see him for pronouns. Before anything else, before we move in, just take a moment to be here for a second. Feel the chair holding you. Feel the room. You all got here, and that is already something on the morning where we spring forward. We all lost an hour of sleep last night. The clocks jumped forward while we weren't looking. Meanwhile, the country jumped further into a war while we weren't asked. So if you feel a little disoriented this morning, that's honest. Hold on to it. Because disorientation is not always confusion. Sometimes it's the beginning of seeing clearly. So let's take a moment to look around for a second. Not at the room that we're in, but at the people that you are here with. And pick maybe one face and let yourself be glad that they showed up this morning. Say good morning. Our service this morning is called Once in a Lifetime. Not because this hour is more important than any other, but because this hour, every hour, is the only one of its kind. And most of them pass without us noticing. So let this be an hour for us this morning where none of us have to perform anything, neither optimism nor outrage. Just be here together. The music will bring us further in. Let it work on you. Put this back.
Good morning. I'm Graham Otten, your worship associate this morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Huntington. If this is your first time here or your first time back in a long while, I want you to know something. Nobody in this room has it figured out. We are a congregation of people, the laughter is confirmation, yeah? We are a congregation of people who decided that not having it figured out is better done together than alone. We don't share a creed, we share a commitment to show up honestly, to treat each other's lives as real, and to keep practicing the kind of love that costs something. However you need to be in this room, that's how you should be. Sing or don't, stand or stay put. Step out if you need some air, and come back when you're ready. Nobody is keeping score. a couple of things that will help you find your way. After time for all ages, our children and youth head to religious education. After worship, it's potluck. If you brought something, beautiful. If you didn't, if you're visiting, if you forgot, I did. If this week chewed you up and you barely got dressed, come eat anyway. That's not us being polite, that's our whole theology. A table only works if people actually sit at it. Today you might be the one who needs a plate. Someday you might be the one carrying an extra. Both of those people are why the table exists. If you're new, look for anyone wearing a name tag after worship, or stop by the welcome table in the social hall. We'd love to say hello properly. Fair warning, we are in stewardship season, which means later in the service, someone will talk about why they give to this place. If you're visiting, that's not aimed at you. You're our guest. We're just glad you came. For those of you who do call this home, today is a good day to be the reason someone feels welcome. Introduce yourself to a face you don't know. Pull up a chair at potluck for someone who looks like they're deciding whether to stay. Now just a few announcements, because love without logistics is just a nice feeling. If you're new to the fellowship, are curious and would like to know more about us, please join Reverend Israel after service today. This is an opportunity to ask questions about Unitarian Universalism, our fellowship, and our religious community here in Huntington. Grab a cup of coffee or tea and join Reverend Israel in the social hall today. Second, next week after service at 12 o'clock, there will be our second bylaws forum. Members of the board will be discussing Article 4, which has to do with the board structure, terms and things like that. And then finally, the Seder is on. The UUFH Seder will be on April 3rd at 7 p.m. Registration is required. Please see Larry or Nancy Wilco if you are interested or have any questions.
Thanks. Larry, Nancy, you want to raise your hand so we know who you are? Great. Graham lights our chalice this morning, and we light this flame for the hour we lost last night. And all the other hours that we cannot get back, and the hours still ahead of us that have not yet been spoken for. Around us right now, different traditions are keeping time with ashes and moon, with fasting and repentance, with embodied reminders that life is fragile and shared. Lent opened with ashes and mortality. Ramadan began with the imprecise, difficult sighting of the crescent and the discipline of hunger. I'm not trying to flatten those things into something that can fit into our shape this morning, just asking us to notice something. That many traditions and many different languages have been asking the same old human questions over and over again. What matters? What do we carry? How can we stay awake in this world? So we Unitarian Universalists light a flame, not to prove anything, not to perform a certainty in here, but just to say together that we are here. Awake, imperfect, still becoming, still figuring out what that means, and still capable of wonder in a world that is also capable of terrible things. So let's let the choir bring us the rest of the way in, because we are here together. I brought in this bowl with me today. I know I've talked about this before, but I don't remember if I've brought this in or not. Does anyone remember seeing it before? That's okay. Then it'll be new to all of us this morning. It is the chalice that I light on my dinner table at home with my family. And it contains little bits and pieces from our lives that we thought were important enough to keep as a reminder. Like the very well sanitized blue jay feather that I found in my backyard, because it is avian flu season. Inside it are a bunch of other little small things: shells, rocks, feathers. Sometimes I find buttons and batteries in there. Tiny little broken pieces of things that I forgot about, that are a reminder of the brokenness of life. Now, none of these things are exactly fancy, although when we find them, they do feel like treasures. And none of them cost anything, exactly, at least in currency. None of them are likely to make the news, except maybe this potato that totally looks like a pig. As good as any saint found in a piece of burnt toast. But we noticed them and decided that they were worth holding on to for a little bit as a reminder. Maybe you've kept little things before because they remind you of something important. Anybody do that? Anybody have a little collection box? Yeah, what do you have?
I actually have a number of little things I found that were lost when I went to Salino, Westbury. Like lapel pins with the pin broken off.
Wow.
And so I found a lapel pin that represents the Black Knight from Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
A lapel pin representing the Black Knight from Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Anybody else? You can shout it out. I'll repeat if you want. Anybody have special collections, special memories?
I collect rocks from every country I go to.
Rocks from every country you visited. Wow.
Shells that my kids picked up on the beach.
Shells, classic.
You have a potato too.
You have a potato too. Yes. What does yours look like?
A little Native American with arms and a feather.
Wow. It looks like a Native American. Wow, that's really fantastic. Yes.
We collect alcohol from different countries.
All right. Reminders of the libations and good times. Yeah.
My dad was a Depression dad, and he would never pass change, even if it was a
Yeah.
penny. So he'd
Yeah.
say, "Oh, look, a penny," and we'd pick it up.
Yeah.
So now whenever I see a penny, I say, "Hi, Dad."
Oh, that's beautiful. This was a lesson from her father to pick up pennies, to waste not. To waste not. So adults do this too, even though we pretend to be very serious most of the time. Sometimes small things help us remember big things. I think that's why I do it. A shell can remember a whole day at the beach. A note card from someone can be a reminder that somebody loves you when you need that reminder. A feather can remember a walk, or remember that all things must let go eventually. A candle can remind us that we don't carry everything alone. There's a name for paying attention to what you notice and trying not to lose it. I call it making a field note. I've said that before in here. Scientists make field notes. Artists make field notes. People who love birds make field notes. People who love the world make field notes. And it can be a very small thing, like I saw something beautiful, or I heard something sad. Somebody was kind, the moon was extraordinarily bright last night. Or my friend looked, so I sat with them. When the world is confusing or sad, one brave thing I think that we can do is just to notice what matters and to not rush past it. to use it as a lesson, to remind ourselves what we need to do to meet that pain in the world. So if there's just one lesson to remember today, it's that we don't have to understand the whole world to notice one true thing in our little corner of it today. So for all of you who are going off to RE now, here's your mission for today. Notice one small, beautiful, weird, kind, or important thing. Whatever that is for you. Tell your teachers, tell your friends. Draw it if you want to. Keep it in your heart. That will be your field note for the week. And grown-ups, all of us, our job is to listen when little ones tell us what they noticed. So let's send you off to RE now. Grown-ups, you're just going to say the part at the end, and I invite you to put a hand on your heart. Remember as you go from here that you belong to this community, whether you're in this room or in another one. May you learn and play and know that you're held in care wherever you go. Now we say together, we send you with love. We send you with love. Can we do that one more time? We send you with love. Beautiful. We have a special song this morning with a new member of the choir. Sometimes you wake up inside your life and you realize... Should I turn this off? Good, okay. All right. Sometimes you wake up inside your own life on any particular morning and you realize that you've been sleepwalking. This song tells us a little bit something about that. All right. And you may find yourself living in a shotgun shack. And you may find yourself living in another part of the world. And you may find yourself behind the wheel of a large automobile. And you may find yourself in a beautiful house with a beautiful life. And you may ask yourself, well, how did I get here? And you may ask yourself, how do I work this? And you may ask yourself, where is that large automobile? And you may tell yourself, this is not my beautiful house. And you may tell yourself, this is not my beautiful life. Same as it ever was. 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 Water dissolving and water removing. There is water at the bottom of the ocean. Under the water, carry the water, remove the water from the bottom of the ocean. Water dissolving and water removing. Now you may ask yourself, what is this beautiful house? And you may ask yourself, where does that highway go to? And you may ask yourself, am I right or am I wrong? And you may ask yourself, my God, what have we done? Same as it ever was. Same as it ever was. Same as it ever was. Look where my hand was. Time isn't holding up. Time isn't after us. Same as it ever was. 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 I couldn't get no rest. Same as it ever was. I was a little surprised when Dylan said yes when I asked if we could do that song. Thank you. Thank you. Like this bowl of rocks that shows me to pay attention to how things are always the same, yet they also change. I also brought this notebook. I also brought this notebook with me, which I'm pretty sure I've brought in here before. And I have a more giant version of it that I like to haul around, and it makes me look either like I'm very holy or just very behind on my paperwork. But the truth is less flattering and more useful. It came to me by way of a teacher, Bill. I mentioned him last week. It's okay if you weren't there. But Bill believed that ministers should write things down. Not because writing itself is sacred, but because forgetting things is dangerous. Life keeps handing us scraps of warnings and wonder all day long. I call them sermon scraps. Most of it disappears if I'm not paying attention. So this book, my books, I have a bunch of them, have become the places where I put things that I don't want to forget, don't want to lose. Sketches, quotes, moon charts, a joke from someone that turns out to be a prophecy. Grocery list next to questions that showed up at 2 in the morning and wouldn't leave me alone. I don't think of it as a sacred text. I'm not that self-important. But rather just a practice of noticing. A way of saying to myself, pay attention. You're alive here. This lesson that you're getting today will not come again. I think sometimes I've come to realize being a minister, the way that people interact with me. Some people assume that ministers spend their days in a tasteful spiritual fog, like the learned hermit cross-legged on a cushion radiating wisdom. I tried this, and it lasted about 9 minutes before I got hungry and started sketching. And sketches are more useful to me. Most of the time. More often, for me, it feels like being a minister, feels like being an artist and a scientist sharing one heart. An artist because beauty keeps ambushing me and demanding to be noticed, and a scientist because every time that something shines, sparkles in front of me, I want to know what it's made of, how it works, why it breaks, and what it holds. Which makes me intensely curious about the world and deeply, deeply suspicious of anyone who claims to have it all figured out. The book, my sketchbook, is where I put the things that don't fit anywhere else. The beautiful and the broken and the baffling. And lately it's been helping me to hold on to something so simple that it's staggering that I have to keep saying it to you over and over again, like every week. I keep turning it over and over again from different angles, like a rock that my kids would put in a bowl. Dust. Stardust, as in us. Woke up. Sounds like a nice meme. But here's the thing. Now the dust, now we have to decide what kind of life and world that we will make with other dust. That's harder. At least in the mind. I went for a walk the other night, earlier this week, with that on my mind. The blood moon was coming, the so-called blood moon, the total lunar eclipse the next morning, starting at approximately 6:04 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Scientifically, it's almost disappointingly simple, really. The Earth slides between the sun and the moon, and our shadow makes it look red. Same mechanics as holding your hand over a flashlight, really. And yet, for thousands of years, a blood moon, as it's called, has been read as an omen, prophecy, a divine warning, if you will. The scientist in me loves the geometry of it all. The artist in me knows that shadows have always been where the best stories start. To see this moon, I needed a clear view of the western horizon. And I knew that there was approximately only a 20-minute window in the early morning, and if I didn't know exactly where to look, I'd miss it. Which is, come to think of it, actually the whole reason that I keep this book. So I marched uphill with the compass app open on my phone, whistling "Abide With Me" for some reason only known to my subconscious, feeling very confident and slightly ridiculous. I have to tell you that one thing I really love is the curves in my neighborhood. The way that the roads rise and bend and keep changing the angle of things, keep making me see things from different perspectives with every step. At the top of the hill, the trees were too thick for a clear horizon, but the full moon through those bare branches was just gorgeous. Not quite spring, but you could feel those buds in the branches howling out and waiting for something. And I just stood there like a fool, which is sometimes the only correct posture before such wonderful beauty. And then the road curved, and the whole western sky opened up in front of me. And my phone, my compass app, confirmed it. Score. I knew exactly where I'd drag my kids at 6 o'clock in the morning. But who am I kidding? I knew that they'd be up already. Smugly satisfied, and I really was, at my scouting skills, I turned to head home. And I paused for one more time under those bare branches. But what was that noise? A distant whirring. For one wildly hopeful second, I thought, is that a UFO? Is this finally my cameo in a deeply underfunded remake of The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy? But no, it was just Jericho Turnpike. Commerce and sirens and the ordinary machinery of a world that doesn't stop moving just because a moon at 99% illumination has taken your breath away. Jericho Turnpike really does ruin everything. But then the real revelation, the stupidly obvious one. Does anybody know? I hadn't checked the weather forecast. And my phone was at 1% because I had taken too many pictures of the moon, which I still have no regrets about. But here's the thing, you cannot see the moon if it's cloudy. That's true in astronomical observation. It's also true in a life. You can be alive and miss your own life. You can love people and fail to notice them. You can live through history and still not see what kind of people that history is trying to make of us. And some of those clouds in the sky in our lives, some are churning out of data centers and White House press briefing rooms. We're 1 week into a war. I'll say it again because I'm still not used to it, even though I should be. We're 1 week into a war with Iran that our Congress could not rein in. Service members are dead. Ordinary citizens are dead. A 20-year-old Army reservist whose family was planning his 21st birthday will not come home for it. A girl's elementary school in southern Iran was hit by a missile. The number the news keeps using is 175. which is not a number. That's a school full of children who were alive last Friday. And the man who ordered it predicted 4 weeks, as if war adheres to lunar cycles, as if grief has its own tracking number. This is the world that dust wakes up into. We are matter that learned to notice matter. That's the miracle and the burden. Atoms arranged just so. And suddenly there's a creature that can hold a compass app and find the moon and also wage war and also grieve and also set a table and also hold a child and also take too many photos of the moon and also forget to check the bloody weather. Here's the thing. Consciousness, this gift, this thing that we have is not a prize. It's a responsibility. Some of you might know that I've been working on a play, and some of you saw part of it on the winter solstice. And the play that I'm in, this play keeps circling this question. And it's not finished because I don't know how it could be exactly in this moment, but in it, a group of people sit at a table. And the question that they're asked is not, are you good enough or do you believe the right things? The question is simple, is more simple and harder. Would you choose this again? Not the war. This messy, unfinished, painful, sacred gift of life, with full knowledge of what it cost, with the school in the news, with the soldier who will never turn 21, with Jericho Turnpike ruining everything, with the phone at 1%, with the eclipse you're absolutely going to miss because the jet stream doesn't care one bit about your minister's plans to preach wonder and impermanence to your children before breakfast. Would you choose it anyway? One of the characters that I'm writing describes a practice that he calls scarpetta. It's Italian for little shoe. But it's really, the word comes from the shape of a hunk of bread when you take it and you drag it through the last of sauce on your plate and it kind of curls a little. Every last drop, nothing wasted. A tiny act of reverence at the end of the meal for the gift that you just received. He says it's how he remembers to be here, not to sleepwalk through wonder, not to skip the moment, not to deny the truth, not to rush past the love and the grief into hands that needed the dough. I kept thinking about that this week, not as theater, but as a way to survive, because the world right now, as you know, is trying very hard to waste people. To make us forget that ordinary life, bread, sauce, a child's drawing, a candle, a bowl of things worth keeping, is where everything worth noticing actually lives. You see, being a minister is also about being desperately curious for answers that cannot be answered. Some years ago, in pursuit of that, I went to a lunch and learn on campus with a famous physicist. I would really like to tell you that I went purely out of intellectual curiosity, and that is partially true, I did. I also went to feel smart, and for the free lunch, because only bachgaloops say no to a free lunch. That's something my grandparents taught me. The physicist was Brian Greene, if you know that name, one of the contributing pioneers to string theory. And I asked him, in my own way, the way that I often see the laws of physics, which is I call patterns of relationality. This is not a physics lecture. I asked him how we, religious professionals, clergy, might use what physics is uncovering about the deep structure of the universe for ethical and moral insight. as if there was such a thing written into the fabric of the universe. I was desperately trying to get physics for me to do the work of meaning making. I really wanted the study of actual God particles, and I know if you're a physicist you might hate that term, to do that work for us. He thanked me, and he said, and I'm smiling thinking about it, he said that the framing was not only accurate, but potentially useful. I gloated, much like I did finding that western horizon, for about 4 glorious seconds. But then he said, what scientists often say is that more data is needed. He said that he didn't know the answer to how science and a non-dogmatic spiritual approach might together offer wisdom for the world. He said it was my job. And then he flicked a fleck of hummus off his dark matter-colored suit jacket and went back to his lunch. I'm reminded that nobody is coming to save us. Not by themselves, that's for sure. Not alone. We're going to have to do it together, which is annoying. The patterns of relationality, as I call them, ask more of us. From quarks to communities, from stardust to dinner tables. From the first moment strings started learning how to harmonize into something, existence is not a solo project. It never has been. I once told myself I'd never live in the suburbs. I said I thought I would hate it. But it turns out that it's good to slow down. It makes you notice things, truths that you might never would have found out if you kept thinking that the world was your oyster. Or anybody's alone. That you alone in this short blip of an existence could solve or sort or even adequately describe the mysteries of our mud and our magnificence. But here's the thing. One thing you can do is you can build a hearth in that mud. You can shape the clay. The old scriptures ask, hath not the potter power over the clay? But here's what the scripture misses. We, all of us together, are both the potters and the clay. Both. Always. And inside that fragile temple of the home, you can place a table carved from the scraps of a tree that gave your great-great-grandparents oxygen and your dinner, too. And you can pull up a chair and a stool and that old milk crate that your grandparents saved because waste not, want not. And because you never know when a stranger might show up who needs to take a load off. There's a lot to talk about, my friends. We have a lot to talk about and plans to share and barn raising to do, if I might say. We are dust awake in a country at war. And the work of dust is not to have all the answers, which is impossible. It's to refuse to sleepwalk and to notice what is being destroyed, to notice what is still here, to feed someone, to keep a room open, to practice being human at exactly the moment that the world is asking us to do less. Your part in this, and you do have a part because you are players in this scene. You're players in the play that I'm writing, not literally. Your part is not to write the whole story by yourself. Your part is to notice, to remember, to make room, to carry something useful into the next scene. A chair, a loaf of bread, the questions that won't let you sleep. A protest sign, maybe. A tired child who just needs a hug. And a friend who needs the same. And even the smallest scrap of seemingly insignificant truth. All of those things, I think, help us build a little more courage than we had yesterday. And that is enough to begin. Maybe not enough to finish in your lifetime or mine or anyone's, but enough to begin each day. And most sacred tasks, I find, begin that way. My grandparents, in their very unsentimental wisdom, knew more than I gave them credit for. Feed people. Keep a place always ready. Waste not. Rest when you can. Pancakes and coffee are at 6. Don't miss it, like the totality. Same as it ever was. Same as it ever was. As we enter into our Moments of the Heart portion of the service, I want you to just kind of hold this image of this bowl in your mind this morning. This quiet altar to noticing. This morning it's ours. You should have received an index card when you came in here, and if you need one, you can raise your hand and we'll bring you one. We have one person who needs one over there, if we could get one over there. Normally the prompt is simply to put your joys, sorrows, and complex truths on them that you want us to read aloud in community. And you can do that today, of course. But I also want to ask us one question to think about it in this way today. What are we refusing to let this moment waste? Maybe it is that joy, good news, a moment of beauty that you want to name out loud, or a grief, something heavy, something you need us to hold. Whatever it is, whatever is worth keeping, write it down and bring it forward if you'd like me to read it aloud. And if you'd like us to bring it forward for you, you can raise your hand too. If words are too much for you this morning, you can just come forward and simply light a candle. That counts. Silence counts. As you're ready, you may come. And as you do, Martha Ketteridge, our pastoral care associate, will receive them for you. We hold the stuff of life here this morning. I hold the stuff of life in my hands, and you're about to hold it in this room. Some notes, one that says thankful, grateful, blessed. A note for the mystical depth and beauty of the fog. Happy 8th birthday to our granddaughter, Ava Marie Wilco. Happy birthday. This person's daughter is taking the SAT this Saturday. Please send good vibes that she'll do well. Holding our black and brown beloveds in love, seniors, grief and hope. Remorse, grief, and hope for a better nation. For them. Maria Nielsen has finished her radiation treatments. Next step is an evaluative endoscopy in July. She thanks everyone for all the love and support shown to her. It is wonderful to be a part of this caring community. She feels very lucky. This is a prayer for our country. May the casualties be few. May our president seek wise advice. May we all. We hold what we heard here this morning, what we carry together this morning, what the dust cloud brings in. And let's hold all of these things the way that the bowl holds all of those things today, not sorting, not ranking, just keeping what matters from getting lost in the cloud. For the people in this room carrying more than they're saying, more than has been said. For the people beyond the room who have no room like this. For the children in every country who deserve to make it to Monday. For the ones trying to stay awake when the numbness would be easier. May this cloud of dust be useful to each other. May what we noticed this morning stay noticed. May what is fragile in us find steady hands nearby. And may the ordinary things, bread, tables, do the sacred work, do their sacred work. And may we do ours. We hold that in silence for a moment. Let's sing Spirit of Life together. If one question that this morning asks of us is whether this sacred mess is worth choosing again, stewardship is one of the small, ordinary ways, stubborn ways, that we say yes. Not in theory, in practice. Susan Peters is going to share with us why.
With water or anything there? No? Okay, don't worry.
And somebody gets Susan a glass of water.
My throat always gets dry. Yeah, good morning.
Good morning.
I am Susan Peters, and I have been part of this congregation for more than 50 years. My journey here began in college when I discovered the Unitarian Church in Buffalo, New York. I was raised in the Jewish faith, and I still value its teachings, but I had questions about how religion was practiced. In the Unitarian Universalism, I found a spiritual home that made room for those questions. I first became a member of the Old Bethpage Fellowship in the 1960s. We were a small congregation with religious education program for my children. But eventually we knew that we were too small to remain viable on our own. When that fellowship closed, its resources came with us to Huntington and became the beginning, of the official endowment fund. That was the start of my membership here. From my parents, I learned that commitment to a religious community means giving your time, your talent, and your money. Over the years, I have tried to do all three. I have served in many roles, including treasurer, finance chair, board secretary, and on many committees focused on leadership, caring for our building, and supporting the life of our fellowship. I helped plan for this worship hall that we're sitting in now, back when we were meeting in what is now the social hall. And yes, believe it or not, we once held a sold-out $100 a plate dinner to help launch the fundraising for this building. In today's dollars, that would be about $800 per person. With my time, my talent, and my money is one of the ways I express my gratitude. I give because this congregation has mattered. I skipped a page. Okay. Over the years, I have again and again found that there is a place for everybody here to give their time and talent. That looks different in different seasons of time. The same is true with money. No one especially enjoys talking about it, but it's necessary if we want this fellowship to remain alive and well. There were years when I was just getting by, and my pledge reflects that. When my circumstances improved, I increased my pledge. Even in times when I could not attend regularly, I still pledged because I wanted this fellowship to be here when I did return. Now my children are grown and scattered across the country. This fellowship has become not just the place I attend, but my family and my spiritual home. And supporting it with my time, my talent, and my money is one of the ways I express my gratitude. I give because this congregation has mattered in every season of my life. This year I am increasing my pledge by 10%. I hope you will support it as generously as you can, so it can be here for others for many years to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan. That was really nice. We'll receive this morning's offering now. If you can give, thank you. If today isn't the day for that, let the basket pass. No one's watching. Our offering supports the Split Plate program. Undesignated gifts are shared between UUFH and our charity of the month. If you'd like your gift to go entirely to one or the other, just mark it accordingly. This month, we're sharing with the Asian American Institute for Research and Engagement, a Long Island nonprofit supporting Asian American and immigrant communities through mental health services, immigration assistance, youth programs, and community education, including work with school districts to address anti-Asian hate and Islamophobia. A good partner to have right now. You can give in the basket or electronically through Realm. Scan the QR code on the screen, text UUFH to 73256, or use the Realm app on your phone. Once you're on, simply enter the amount and follow the prompts. The default fund is Sunday Split Plate, but you can adjust it if you want using the drop-down menu. Thank you. I'll take the offering now.
let's sing ourselves, prepare to sing ourselves out of the room. For all that is our life. It's our closing hymn, number 128. For all that is our life. As you go from here, let's take this morning as a field note. We take this morning as a field note. Not the full script, not even one with a conclusion. And we don't need to leave here as spectators doing all this perfectly as you see up here. We leave as the company, as the players. The dust is awake, my friends. And we do not have forever, so go in peace and play your part.